Dang, does it look pretty good. Serious when I say that I never get that the first time, but it sounds good. No loud knocking, no more water pumping out of the exhaust, nothing leaking. Whoa, that's not good. What the heck, dude? Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. We're in the garage again today, working on the S14, and we're finishing up this KA. I've been hard at it today, finishing up, cleaning up all these parts, getting them all prepped and ready to start assembling this engine, putting it all back together. Got the timing covers, oil pan, and valve cover all cleaned up, all the hardware cleaned up as well. And speaking of hardware, I've got the ARP hardware all cleaned up. Everything's all staged here, all the timing stuff's ready to go. Now I mentioned in the last video that I was missing some fastener assembly lubricant, which I have now acquired. So we're ready to go there. When I was taking my intercooler piping apart, I ended up breaking one of these clamps, so here's a new one. I got some cheap 10W30 oil and filter. For when I first get it going, there's probably still a little bit of milkiness left somewhere in here. I just want to put cheap oil just to get this thing running. After I do a couple break-in miles and everything, I'll swap that stuff out for some VR1. We've got a tube of RTV for the front cover and oil pan and all that good stuff. We're looking pretty good here. I think we're ready to start assembling stuff, so let's get to it. First things first, we are going to lubricate all of these washers with the fastener assembly lubricant and put those into the head in each little spot there. And then we will lubricate both threads of the head stud and drop those in. And then we will lubricate the underside of these nuts. Got it! And then up here, we have our torque sequence. It says to tighten them down in 3 equal steps to 70 pounds. So we're gonna go 30, 50, and 70. This thing's supposed to be bent like that. All right, we're gonna hit both sides of the washer here. Drop that down in there. There she is. Okay, we've gotten all of our washers in there. And now we're gonna put the studs in. Now, same as the washers, we put some of this stuff on the threads. Drop it right down in there and grab you a 4mm Allen, thread it in. All right, now that we've got all that in there, last thing to do is lube up the bottom of these nuts and thread them on there. Now it's time to begin torquing things down. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So first up, 30 foot-pounds. Now let's do 50. All right, that's it for 50. Now let's do 70. All right, that does it for torquing the head down. Now we can move on to installing all the timing parts here. And then we can pop our covers on, get our cams in, put the oil pan on, get everything all sealed up, and we'll be one step closer. Okay, first thing for the timing parts, this first chain here, which attaches to this sprocket down here, and this bolt here threads into the head right there. We'll get that tossed on, and then we can put the rest of the chain on. So the factory service manual says to torque this idler sprocket to 40 to 60 foot-pounds. So we're gonna torque it to 50, nice happy medium. Okay, we got the first timing chain on, and it's looking pretty good. I got the tensioner on here. I haven't pulled this little thing out, but... All right, tensioner is tensioning. And here's the other tensioner for the second set of chain that go to the cams. Last time I was putting this all back together, I pulled the threads out of this, and it looks like the threads are coming out of this one as well. So what I'm gonna do is helicoil it. So I've got this metric 6x1 helicoil kit. What I'll do is drill these holes out and toss a new set of steel threads in there so we won't have to worry about this thing stripping out again. I've already done this to the head for this idler sprocket. It's a real common thing with that 40 to 60 foot-pound spec that they want on that. Eventually those threads will pull out. So what a lot of people will do is helicoil it or do thread certs or something like that. I've had a lot of luck with helicoil, so that's what I'm gonna rock with. Well, I forgot to hit record, but I just tapped these holes. Pretty straightforward. Now we're gonna blow them out. All right, here's the thread insert. I like to put a little red thread locker on there just to make certain that it stays in there. It comes with this pretty cool little assembly tool. You just thread the insert on the end of that thing, slide it through the little plastic guide, dab a little thread locker in there, and get to inserting. And there it is. We've successfully installed a thread insert. Let's knock out this one and we can be done with this. It's all ready to go there. So now what we need to do is toss the cams in. Once the cams are in, we can put the upper timing chain and sprockets and the tensioner that we just helicoiled the mounts for. Get that all in there. And that'll be it for the timing stuff. And then we can move on to putting all the covers and everything on and hopefully get this thing sealed up pretty soon. We're gonna get these cams installed here. And I've got this Cleveite assembly lube. So I'm gonna lubricate each one of these journals that the cam sits in and each one of these valve buckets. We wanna make sure it's nice and lubricated as it goes back together. All right, now that the cams are in, we are going to put on the sprocket and the upper chain here. So I'm gonna put each sprocket on here, hook up the chain, then we can put the tensioner back on, and all the timing stuff will be done. We got all of our timing marks where they should be. You can't really see this one, but it's good. And then there's another one here. You can kind of see the discolored link there. So all of our timing marks are looking good. Tensioners are on, and that means we can put covers on. All right, I've got my Permatex Ultra Gray and my lower timing cover. I'm gonna run a thin bead all along this edge and slap it on there. All right, we've got a nice bead of RTV on all the edges here. Now let's get this thing on here. Got to make sure and put this little seal thing into the oil pump port here. All right, lower timing cover is on. Looks pretty nice. Next up is the upper cover. Get some RTV on this thing and slap it on there. We've got the upper and lower timing covers completely on. Now I just need to toss the valve cover on, roll this thing over, and then I can put the oil pan on. And then we can be done for the night. This thing's starting to look like an engine again. Now I'm going to roll it over and toss the oil pan on. I'm going to oil this up really good inside here. Just want to make sure she's good and lubed up here. All right, there it is. The oil pan is on, looking mighty fine. All right, there it is. One completed KA engine. Looks pretty good. Still need to stab the distributor and hook up a few lines, but for all intents and purposes, this thing is complete. All right, I'm pretty tapped out. I'm gonna wash up and we'll get this thing tossed in the engine bay on another day. But dang, does it look pretty good. All right, today is the day. We're gonna get this freaking KA put back into this car. We've got just a few things left to bolt to this engine before I can put it back in this car. And what we have here is the distributor, the alternator, the crank pulley, put all that stuff back on the front of the engine. I need to toss the flywheel and the clutch back on there, and then put this transmission back on. And then we can go ahead and pick it up with the engine hoist and put her back in there. So let's get this done. All right, we're looking good. Everything's all on, got the alternator on. I got all the turbo lines routed, all the coolant lines hooked up. So now all we need to do is take this thing off the engine stand, put it down on the ground. We'll attach the flywheel, attach the clutch, hook up the transmission, and we'll plop it in there. Need to get this transmission onto the engine. And there it is. Now we just gotta hook her up to the hoist. Now for the fun part. And there it is. We got her in there. Now I still need to hook everything up, all the wiring harness, all the intercooler, put the radiator stuff back in. And I still need to hook up the drive shaft and the exhaust there. But we're cruising right along. We about got it all back together. All right, we made a ton of progress here. We got pretty much everything hooked up here, all the intercooler. I've got the radiator hooked up, but I don't have any coolant in it. Just to get this thing started, just want to hear it run. I'll toss some of this SuperTech 10W30 in here. Cleaned out all the oil cooler lines, and I tossed a new filter on there. I'm just gonna run this thing for a little while, let it get up to operating temperature, and pump some oil through it, clean out what residual, water and whatever else was left in there. Toss this oil in there, and hopefully we can fire this thing up. Okay, I think that's everything. I set the timing and stuff. I almost never get that right the first time, so we'll see what happens. Let's crank this thing over and see if it starts. Holy cow, we did it. Burning off a little bit of smoke there. I honestly can't believe I got that timing right. I'm serious when I say that I never get that the first time, so I'm feeling pretty pumped right now. Hopefully that's a sign that this thing runs pretty good, so we'll see. But it sounds good. No loud knocking, nothing leaking. No more water pumping out of the exhaust. I think we're looking pretty good. Let's check out the vitals here. Oil pressure looks good. Bolts are rocking. Water temp obviously is kind of whatever. Oil temp, coming on up. Got vacuum. I think we did it. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage while I plugged away on this thing. Whoa, we got a massive oil leak. That's not good. Wonder where that came from. Holy crap. Just when I thought it was all good. Uh-oh, what the heck, dude? Is that from the turbo? Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see, but we got some oil pulled up there. I think my turbo is leaking. Looks like my turbo is leaking. All right, we're gonna end it on that note. I guess we'll see you next time. Take care.